And today I have some big updates. First, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, the Chalice of the Gods, has come out. It is the first book in the Percy Jackson and the Olympians series by the New York Times best-selling author Rick Riordan in over a decade. And it is so good. Anyway, Rick Riordan is one of the most, is a very, very popular author. He has written 5 internationally best-selling series. His Percy Jackson and the Olympians books sold especially well, though all of his books were immensely popular and all of them were sold like tens of millions of copies. His books are some of the best in the world, and I'm not joking, they are. And on Tuesday, September 26th, they came out, and of course, I was like, wait, and then I was like, before this, a month before, I was like, and I was on Rick Riordan's website, seeing which book was gonna come out next. When I realized that this book was gonna come out next, I was pumped. But then I realized his tour went to Glendale, which is in northern Los Angeles, and so I myself live in San Diego, so because of the traffic and the distance, going from San Diego to Glendale is 2 hours and 30 minutes to 2 hours and 50 minutes because the traffic is always harsh in Los Angeles. So, it was a Wednesday. We had that whole day off. We started at around noon, and we went to Santa Monica Pier. It was awesome, and we had a lot of fun there. And then after we went to Santa Monica Pier, we went to Glendale. There we relaxed at Glendale the public library for a bit, and then we went to Rick Riordan's event. It was amazing. So I actually have footage of Rick Riordan. Unfortunately, it's on my mom's phone, and it's not right now. Here, it's charging. There's no battery in it right now. But let me explain what happened, and I'll talk more about my Barnes & Noble exclusive edition Percy Jackson, which I received at the event because it was included in the ticket price. Also, I wanted to say there were complimentary free tour t-shirts, but they replaced that with bags, like book bags and grocery bags, like, those reusable ones with Percy Jackson on them. Unfortunately, there was like this big line to get them. It was super crowded. The line wasn't even a line. It was like this entire crowd inching forward. It took about 20 minutes to get to the front. And what happened was that, there were a lot of bags, like one for everybody at the theater. But by the time I got to the line, and it was like 20-30 minutes of waiting, there were none. That probably means that people were taking extras for their friends and family. And I'm not gonna like go into a rant about how people are really annoying in that way. But I will say to you watchers, please don't do that, because of that I did not get my bag. Okay? I'm not complaining or anything. It's not like I would really use that bag anyway, but still, it was sort of a bummer. Anyway, this Percy Jackson was pre-signed by Rick Riordan himself. Here's the signature. And I will actually show what the Barnes & Noble exclusive content is for people who don't have this copy. Most people will purchase their books on Amazon, which does not carry Barnes & Noble exclusive editions. Also, you might be wondering, what's in this mystery box? I partially opened it just to make sure the thing in it was actually the thing I wanted. And yes, it was. But of course, I will not reveal this. This is an unboxing that will be a surprise. So if you've read the this video's name, you're probably gonna know what it is. So now let's talk. I'm gonna talk about about Rick Riordan's awesome event at the Alex Theater at 7 o'clock. So yeah, it was pretty cool. So he sat down with I am terrible at remembering names. The author of the Winston Chu series, which is part of Rick Riordan's imprint, Rick Riordan Presents. The Winston Chu series is very popular. The second book of it is coming out in February 2024. Anyway, so she came. There was a lot of cheering. Like every time Rick Riordan said something like "hello," everybody was like screaming their lungs out, and it was like. And now, I'm really happy to see you. Everybody screamed their lungs out again. Basically, every 3 to 5 sentences that he made, sometimes 1 to 2, everybody always screamed. Somebody even yelled like in the middle of the silence, "I love you!" So it was all fans of all ages, from like really little kids to like adults. And I'm not saying like adults chaperoning kids. I'm saying like actual adults coming by themselves to watch Rick Riordan. So it was just an event for everybody. And there were a lot of families, people, teenagers, everybody. It was very awesome. I got the balcony seats. The theater was decorated really nicely. And so Rick Riordan really talked about a lot. First, his Percy Jackson and the Olympians TV show is coming out on Disney Plus on December 20th of this year, 2023. Also, along with that, a lot of books are going to come out on Rick Riordan Presents, his imprint. So basically, it gives authors a chance to write write about mythologies like he does, in a way that's so that they can represent underrepresented cultures. I'm not saying that they write exactly like him. That's far from the truth. Instead, every book is really unique, really amazing. They incorporate mythology in totally different ways than Rick Riordan does, and that makes every single book so unique and so great. I recommend the Aru Shah series. They were amazing. And now I have to forget the title. I am so sorry. There's Aru Shah series, one of the best series ever, like ever. It was great. I really loved it. So Aru Shah. I definitely recommend Aru Shah because it was totally worth it. And then after Aru Shah, there was let's see. Wow, I'm really terrible at this. There was this other series that I really liked. Oh yes, The Last Fallen, the Last Fallen Star, The Last Fallen Moon, and The Last Fallen Realm. Those 3 books are a series by Gracie Kim, and they were amazing. They were stellar. I loved them. I was up until 12 o'clock. 1 o'clock listening to the audiobooks. Like I couldn't sleep. I just kept listening. They were one of the best books ever. So those are some of the best books. Other books that are coming out. Rick Riordan is really focusing, so his books so far, all of his books and all of his Rick Riordan Presents books, even middle grade now. Some of his books are going to be young adult. So there's A Drop of Venom and It Waits in the Forest. So those are a bit more, high level for the people who want that. And so yeah, that's another thing that's coming out. So those are some updates, Rick Riordan updates. Also, another awesome thing. So, in the new 3 books for the Percy Jackson series, what's happening is that, Percy, this is not a spoiler, okay? If you buy the book, you're immediately gonna see that on the first chapter. This is not a spoiler. Definitely is not a spoiler. I'm not gonna say anything, okay? Just Percy is now, in his last year of high school, and he wants to go to university with his girlfriend Annabeth, right? If you've read all the other Percy Jackson books, you're gonna be like, I know, of course. And so it's New Rome University, but he needs to go on 3 quests if he wants to go there. For 3 godly recommendation letters, meaning there's 30 books. Every book covers 1 quest. And this book covers the Chalice of the Gods, where there are a lot of deadly chickens and cobras. And yes, I will not spoil anymore. There is this book, I've read about almost half of it. It is amazing. I love it. And Rick Riordan announced amidst a very enthusiastic crowd that a new book next year, exactly 1 year from now, will come out. The Wrath of the Triple Goddess. Or the Triple Goddess. No, the Triple Goddess. And everybody in the theater was like, woohoo! Everybody was celebrating us, so I'm really looking forward to that. Anyway, this book is really fun. So, and those are some of the Rick Riordan presents, the Rick Riordan updates. You know, he sat in a chair on a stage with his guest author, the author of the Winston Chu series. So it was really fun. It was really fun. It lasted about 45 minutes, I think. And yeah, I think it was totally worth it. And so without further ado, that's Percy Jackson and the Olympians. You should totally buy this book. And anyway, let me show you the Barnes & Noble exclusive content. So for simplicity, I'm just gonna remove this book jacket. Okay. Beautiful cover, by the way. Anyway, so Percy Jackson, it's yellow, right here. So, and I'm not actually going to talk. I'm not actually. So, you know, in previous videos, I have read some parts of the book, and so, you know, I mean, I think that is pretty good. But you know, okay, actually, yeah, sure. Let's read it. Actually, but first, let's go to the exclusive content. So these are godly recommendation letters for Percy, because you know he has to get 3 godly recommendation letters. These are not the recommendation letters that he needs to get, but these are some samples. So let's actually read some. Okay, so first there is from. And so, you know, these are very funny. These are for Barnes & Noble exclusive content. If you want them, then you should buy it at Barnes & Noble. So, from Aristeus, Greek god of crafts, cheese, and beekeeping. This is his recommendation letter. And it's very absurdly unhelpful. I don't know Perry Jason all that well, but when he asked me to provide a letter of recommendation, I really warmed up to him. It's like, you know, it's Percy Jackson, but he's always like Perry Jackson, and then he says, "You see, I rarely receive visits from demigods these days, and I'm not sure many of them even know that I exist. What can I say? Ever since that whole industrialization fad started, not a lot of people who want to worship the god of cheese and bees anymore." So it meant a lot that Perry would ask little old me for a recommendation letter. I was beyond flattered that, even in these modern times, Perry recognized the importance of my highly specialized, and if I do say so myself, critical position within the secondary pantheon of gods. But then I learned that he was going around asking nearly everybody for one of these letters. Even the freaking dolphin guy. Don't let this get into your college. He's nothing more than a 2-timing snake. A promise of nothing. I have attached my contact information should the need arise for a guest lecturer. I'm always willing to shape young minds with my expertise in philology. I can even offer my services at a discounted rate for a limited time. As my famous catchphrase goes, "'Tis always cheddar that to give them to receive." But really, I should use the exposure. The bee market isn't looking too hot in the long run. I eagerly anticipate your response, Aristeus. You know, in a recommendation letter, even he asked for a recommendation and he got, "Don't let this get into your college." Here's another one from Apollo. Unfortunately, this one is actually, this is glued on. And so, because of that, I can't really see everything. But let me try a high-stakes operation that might or might not work. Hey, we need some mission. We need the Mission Impossible theme right now because this is impossible. Okay, I think I can peel this off. If not, I'm so good. I'm gonna be so mad at myself. Yes, I did it without ripping anything. Wait, now I need to get this stinky stuff off. I'm the best. Well, anyway. The book closes much more nicely. Okay, here's one. And after this, I will reveal what is in this mystery box. And I will read some of Percy Jackson. From Apollo, Greek god of the sun. And he's also the Greek god of music, archery, and poetry. Admissions Department of New Rome University. Heed my glorious words of praise for Percy Jackson. Throughout the centuries, I have come to know many a brave and noble soul, but few are as accomplished as Percy Jackson. At least of those who have yet to meet a tragic end. Not only has this young demigod assisted me with saving the mortal world multiple times, but he has done so while overcoming many of life's greatest challenges, such as being born of Poseidon's loins. For instance, when the mad titan Cronus unleashed his army against Olympus, it was Percy Jackson and his allies who assisted the Pantheon as we turned the tide of the battle. Also, when the primordial, all-powerful Gaia attempted to destroy the world for some reason I cannot recall, Percy and his friends once again won the day by carrying forth the brilliant winning strategy I conceived. If you've ever read the Percy Jackson books, and you should before you read this book, you know that Percy didn't assist Apollo, and Apollo never made the plans, okay? He did everything by himself, and his friends, of course. Not only did Percy's heroic feats prevent the utter annihilation of your august institution, as well as your very lives and the lives of all those you hold dear, but I'm told that they also provide a perfectly reasonable explanation for his subpar academic performance. In truth, I see much of myself in young Percy. Not physically, of course. Needless to say, I am much taller and I have better hair. And unlike him, I possess a perfectly symmetrical face. Regardless of what Artemis may tell you, don't listen to her. All that time in the woods has resulted in moss growing over her eyes. What were we talking about? Oh, yes. Please don't blame Percy for his average physique. Mortal children tend to be quite squishy and vulnerable. Quite frankly, it sounds like my personal nightmare. Well, truly no concern of mine. Anyway, gotta run. Zeus apparently wants to speak with me about something of critical importance. I'm sure it's nothing serious. I hope this letter helped shed light on my innate greatness. Toodles, my magnificence, Apollo. If I sent, I'm pretty sure that that New Rome University isn't going to be amazingly impressed. Anyway, let me give you a sample of Percy Jackson, the Chalice of the Gods. Chapter 1, I Get Flushed. A very good way to start a book. Look, I didn't want to be a high school senior. Also, one thing, I'm gonna read the first chapter because it isn't very long. I was hoping my dad could write me a note. Dear whoever, please excuse Percy Jackson from school forever and just give him the diploma. Thanks, Poseidon. I figured I'd earned that much after battling gods and monsters since I was 12 years old. I'd saved the world 3 times? 4? I've lost count. You don't need the details. I'm not sure even I even remember them at this point. Maybe you're thinking, but wow, you're the son of a Greek god. That must be amazing. Honest truth, most of the time being a demigod blows chunks. Anybody who tells you different is trying to recruit you for a quest. So there I was, stumbling down the hallway on my first morning of classes at a new high school. Again, after losing my entire junior year because of magical amnesia. Don't ask. My textbooks were spilling out of my arms, and I had no idea where to find my 3rd period English class. Math and biology had already melted my brain. I wasn't sure how I was going to make it to the end of the day. Then a voice crackled over the loudspeaker. Percy Jackson, please report to the counselor's office. At least none of the other students knew me yet. Nobody looked at me and laughed. I just turned all casual-like and meandered back toward the administration wing. Alternative High is housed in a former elementary school in Queens. That means kitty-sized desks and no lockers, so you have to carry all your stuff from class to class. Down every hall, I could find cheery reminders of the school's former childhood. Smudges of finger paint on the walls, unicorn stickers peeling off the fire extinguishers, the occasional ghostly whiff of fruit juice and graham crackers. AHS takes anybody who needs to finish their high school career. It doesn't matter if you're coming back from juvie or have severe learning differences or happen to be a demigod with really bad luck. It is also the only school in the New York area that would admit me for my senior year and help me make up all the course credit I lost as a junior. On the bright side, it has a swim team and an Olympic-sized pool. No idea why. So my stepdad, Paul Blofus, thought it might be a good fit for me. I promised him I'd try. I also promised my girlfriend, Annabeth. The plan was that I'd graduate on time so we could go to college together. I didn't want to disappoint her. The idea of her going off to California without me kept me up at night. I found the counselor's office in what must have once been the school infirmary. I deduced that from a painting on the wall of a sad frog, a sad purple frog with a thermometer in his mouth. Mr. Jackson, come in. The guidance counselor came around her desk, ready to shake my hand. Then she realized I had 6,000 pounds of textbooks in my arms. Oh, just put those down anywhere, she said. Please, have a seat. She gestured to a blue plastic chair about a foot too low for me. Sitting in it, I was eye level with the jar of Jolly Ranchers on her desk. So, the counselor beamed at me from her comfy-looking adult-sized chair. Her bottle-thick glasses made her eyes swim. Her gray hair was curled into scalloped rows that reminded me of an oyster bed. How are you settling in? The chair's a little short. I mean at school. Well, I've only had 2 classes. Have you started on your college applications? I just got here. Exactly. We're already behind. I glanced at the purple frog, who looked as miserable as I felt. Look, call me Eudora, she said cheerfully. Now, let's see what brochures we have. She rummaged through her desk. Polytech, BU, NYU, ASU, FU. No. I wanted to stop her. My temples were throbbing. My ADHD was pinging around under my skin like billiard balls. I couldn't think about college today. Ma'am, I appreciate your help, I said. But really, I've kinda already got a plan. If I can just get through this year. Yes, New Rome University, she says, still digging through her desk drawer. But the mortal counselor doesn't seem to have a brochure. My ears popped. I tasted salt water in the back of my throat. The mortal counselor? My hand drifted toward the pocket of my jeans, where I kept my favorite weapon, a deadly ballpoint pen. This wouldn't have been the first time I'd had to defend myself from an attack at school. You'd be amazed how many teachers, administrators, and other school staff are monsters in disguise. Or maybe you wouldn't be amazed. Who are you? I asked. She sat up and smiled. I told you. I'm Eudora. I studied her more closely. Her curled hair was, in fact, a bed of oysters. Her dress shimmered like a jellyfish membrane. It's weird how the mist works. Even for demigods who see supernatural stuff all the time, you have to concentrate to pierce the barrier between the human world and the godly one. Otherwise, the mist just kind of plasters over what you see, making ogres look like pedestrians or a giant dragon look like the entree. And believe me, it's embarrassing trying to board a dragon when one rampages into the Astoria Boulevard station. What did you do with the regular counselor? I asked. Eudora waved her hand dismissively. Oh, don't worry about her. She couldn't help you with New Rome. That's why I'm here. Something about her tone made me feel not reassured exactly, but at least not personally threatened. Maybe she only ate other guidance counselors. And now I will I'm not gonna really spoil anything, but I will skip to the end of the chapter. The floor dropped out from under my chair, and I plunged into a churning maelstrom with a thunderous flush. That's how the chapter ends. So, I haven't finished Percy Jackson and the Chalice of the Gods, but I will say this. It is one of the most promising books I've ever read. I've read this year, and it is one of the best, too. So, now, that's one of the books that was released this week, and I hope that you enjoyed that book review. Not book review, I guess. Sorry, not book review, but, just talk about and that read aloud and that introduction. So this is Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So I hope that you really enjoyed. I hope that you really enjoyed my talk about it, and I hope that you will buy that book because it is really great. Now, the mystery package, which contains the other book that came out. Okay, it came out on the same day on the same day Percy Jackson came out. So only 2 days ago, on September 26th, Tuesday. And yeah, almost all the books are published on Tuesday. Why? Because, publishing companies like that because of some. I'm not really sure why, but most authors and publishers always publish on Tuesday. Like that's like the biggest rule. It's not like you have to do it, but it really helps your chance of like something of successfulness. I'm not very sure why. Please research that because it's really interesting. Anyway, this is an Amazon package. So actually, I was supposed to get this package quickly, but I was really impatient when it kept not coming. But now, yes, people, yes. The Wild Robot Protects by Peter Brown. It came out, Wild Robot 3. Woohoo! And it came out, and the Wild Robot series has been immensely popular. If you want to read this book, please read the other books. But anyway, The Wild Robot Protects. Yep, it came out, it was released today, and it's going to be great. It has some great illustrations. And yeah, this is my first time actually reading it. And so this is dedicated to the oceans of the future. And yeah, this seems really awesome. I love this. I love this. Actually, let's actually read it. But I will say again, please read the first books. If you're like, I don't want to read them, well, here's the thing, read them anyway. There's no excuse. And if you're like, I really don't want to read them, then just read the first book. At least the first book. Please read the first 2 books. But if you really don't want to do that, at least read the first book. That'll lay the groundwork, the foundations, everything like that. So it'll be okay. So I really encourage you to read the second book because it's awesome. Okay, anyway, The Wild Robot Protects. The question right here reads, can one robot stop the poison tide? Very interesting in my opinion. So, and this goes into the water, the oceans of the future, tides, this illustration, this. So it's really exciting. So this book is in the water. So it's gonna be really, really fun in my opinion. So let me read. Chapter 1, The Sky. Our story begins in the sky, with a bright sun and puffy clouds and a large flock of geese. After spending the cold months at their southern wintering grounds, the geese were migrating back to their northern home. They flew in a perfect V formation, and leading the way was a graceful young goose. The leader kept his eyes forward, constantly searching for bad weather or airships, but the sky was clear of any trouble. Towns and roads and meadows and rivers passed beneath the geese as they flew. Far ahead, where the land met the sky, the dark blue line of the ocean gradually came into view. The ocean grew closer and closer, and then the flock was soaring above a sandy beach and out over the water. An island appeared in the distance. Another island appeared, and another. The geese spent a few days hopping from island to island, munching on dune grass and resting their wings. Then they took off for the last leg of their journey. Cargo ships were powering through the waves below. This part of the ocean was a shipping lane. It was crawling with huge vessels, making its own migration to the next seaport. The geese flew high over the ships, and soon all they could see was water spreading to the horizon in every direction. Hours passed before the geese spotted the familiar rocky shapes of their home island. They quickened their pace. Now they could see the mountain and the forests and the white slash of the waterfall. Now they were flying over the coastline. Now they were circling above the beaver pond. The flock glided down to the pond and splashed onto the surface. They floated there, quietly cleaning their feathers, until below the water their webbed feet started paddling, and they swam to shore and waddled onto a pebble beach. While the others made themselves at home, the leader wandered into the forest by himself. He followed the path through the undergrowth, passing old trees and mossy stones and thick brambles, and he stopped in a small clearing. The geese honked loudly and listened for a response. Silence. And then the forest began to move. A cluster of ferns shook and the ground bulged up and chunks of earth tumbled aside. And there, standing in front of the goose, was a robot. Reader, you and I would have been terrified in that moment. It's not every day you see a robot burst up from the ground. But the goose wasn't terrified. He was happy. You see, that robot was his mother. He fluttered onto her shoulder. Then the two of them spoke to each other in the language of the animals. I've missed you, Ma, said Brightbill the goose. Welcome home, son, said Roz the wild robot. And that is how it begins. So that's how it begins. Roz the robot meets Brightbill. Here's some of the illustrations I did not show you. So this, and also the words when it said down, it went like this. Pretty cool in my opinion. And this illustration. So that's how it ends. The chapter 1 ends like that. And chapter 2 is called The Reunion. I hope that you really enjoy. So, The Wild Robot Protects. I think I'm going to love this book. I really like the Wild Robot series. So, yes, Peter Brown's books are really awesome. So I will encourage you to read both of these books, The Wild Robot Protects and Percy Jackson and the Olympians. So yeah, both of these books are middle grade. And both of them were released on the same day, which is really cool, right? Two of the best books ever were released. Percy Jackson and The Wild Robot Protects. So I hope that you enjoy both of these books, and I'll see you next time for more about books and news and technology. So yes, these books are both really awesome. Below, I will provide links. I will provide links in the description. You can totally click on them. And yeah, I hope that you enjoyed my video. If so, please like, because that'll encourage me. And also, in the community section, please vote Please vote, because that'll let me decide what book I'm gonna talk about next. Anyway, thank you for watching my video, and I hope that I see you next time. Keep reading and have a great rest of your day. Bye! Remember, The Wild Robot Protects and Percy Jackson and the Olympians. The Chalice of the Gods, or just Percy Jackson 6. One is by Rick Riordan, the other is by Peter Brown. Bye!